What's going on, everybody? Happy to see you all. Let me flip this on real quick. Boom. Cool. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hopefully, you're having a good night so far. If you don't have access to your microphone or whatever, or you just don't want to jump on the audio, you can always use the chat feature. I'm watching the chat as well. So just keep that in mind. And if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. Don't hesitate. Um, if you're new to the live streams or the members only live streams, we go into a lot of detail on here, a lot more than the private live streams. So yeah, whatever you want to talk about, more than happy to. I could start it off right off the bat. Everything is trading the way that we've been watching the last few days, which is a really good thing to see. Right now, we're in that bearish crossover on the hourly, watching for that short-term weakness. We can see that the point of control for volume is right in the zone as well. There's definitely some selling pressure at the moment too. So if this did want to pull down, it's only going to be $1,000, give or take, where I'm aiming for, but that 103 to $102,000 range. If we wanted to hold at an SR flip or what would be a support and resistance flip somewhere in this zone, I would be very bullish long term. That's something that I like to see personally. And that would be able to allow us to find a little bit of a support. You can see that the CCI has pulled down, but it hasn't really shown that in price action yet. And by getting into this take profit one, well, let's say 6180 is take profit two, 7860 is going to be take profit three based on the Fibonacci extension. Those points are going to put you literally right in the middle. And this red line at 109.7 is the range high from the inauguration. So it would make a lot of sense mathematically as well if this did want to retrace down to here and then find support and push back up. So that's pretty much what I'm watching for, let's say in the next 24 hours per se. Who knows how fast it can happen, can or can't happen. But yeah, that's something just to keep in mind as you're watching throughout the next 24 hours. If you're trading, if you're getting to some leverage positions, for example, just know that there is a potential downside. But we do want to find the support if it does pull down because we don't know if it's going to or not. It could theoretically just start to go up from here, but you are still in a bearish crossover on the hourly. So it's usually something you would want to see everything kind of line up like we saw yesterday, where you had that LRC support and then this was in a bullish crossover at the time. The hourly was in a bullish crossover as well. This was kind of in this zone over here. And this is the 2 hour. And the hourly, we were basically over here in this zone last night before this major impulse move. And then the daily, you're also in a bullish crossover. So everything is good from a bullish perspective. It's really just that short term hourly, let's say a few hour play that it might go down. Like I said, $2,000 is really nothing in this game. So really nothing really major to worry about. But yeah, at the end of the day, we're still unironically or ironically enough trading sideways from inauguration day. So we really just want to break one direction or the other because this is what I would consider a consolidation pattern. And right now it's looking more like a distribution than an accumulation. So we'll see exactly what happens with all of that. Let's go check out macros as well while we're doing this. I'll slide this over. Boom. Volume change. Cool. So pretty red at the moment. Like I was discussing earlier in the macro video from this morning, everything was relatively green, but I was talking about if you started to see red and outflow into the market, just watch for that short to medium term weakness for that retracement, which we are starting to see. We are showing a little bit of red on the volume change in the last 24 hours. So with all those things in mind, I would not be surprised if this wanted to pull down, $1 to $2,000. Now, could we go up first and test this LRC as a resistance and a double top? Absolutely. So we could swing back up one more time and it could look something like this. Just because it doesn't go down automatically doesn't mean it's not going to go down. So it could do something along these lines before it continues to push back up and hit this area here, which is what we call the LRC resistance on this from this perspective because it's going to test as a resistance. Or if you're looking at it from a bullish perspective, it would be the LRC support. The LRC is just that gray line. It's going to be the linear regression channel. And then the line that changes colors is going to be called the Nada Rhea. It's like the fancy term for it. But Basically, the way the crossover strategy works, because I know there are a couple new faces and names in here too. Anytime the line that changes colors is on top, that's going to be a bullish trend. Anytime the gray line is on top, that's going to be a bearish trend. And then when I look for sniper entries and exits, I usually wait for a bearish crossover and then an LRC rejection or some sort of nice little spot over here or down here, for example, where price swings up and then holds as a support, or when we have a little bit of a support push here, and then we have a support based on volatility. Price basically dropped, 100,000, let's say from 102 to 101, and so give or take like almost $2,000, just a decent little pull down, but you got a little volatility and you held support at this zone, which would have been a nice impulse move position for a sniper entry for long positions, for example. So that's kind of what I'm seeing on the charts. Um, yeah, like I said, if anyone has any questions, let me know. Don't hesitate to ask. Cool. And if not, then I will just continue to go through the list of things that we can take a look at on the charts, and maybe that will spark some questions in general. So don't hesitate to stop me if you have any questions too. Ethereum, one that's definitely getting a lot of attention in terms of being boring. Now, I released probably 3 videos down at this zone when we were finally starting to potentially break this long-term downtrending resistance on Ethereum on the daily. We finally impulse. We tested the range highs of 2024, but obviously for short-term traders and people that are looking for the 100x moves, that's just not enough for them at the moment. So people are saying that it's boring, that it's dead, that it's not making enough money, this and that, even though right now you're setting up in a really nice bullish potential on Ethereum. You're dropping into the Epic Golden or just into the Golden Pocket, but you've had liquidity test into the Epic Golden Pocket. Now, anyone that's new, this zone right here in between the 50 to 6180, this is the standard Golden Pocket for Fibonacci retracements. And then this zone right here in between the 6180 to the 7860 is referred to as the epic golden pocket, and that's what we use in here for specifically trading crypto and stuff like that because there's more volatility. So when you hear that reference between just a golden pocket versus an epic golden pocket, that's going to be the difference. It's just in crypto, there's more volatility, so we use a deeper Fibonacci retracement level because you have a higher potential of hitting the 7860 and then swinging up to, let's say, take profit 3, which in this situation would take us up to about 5,000, just a little bit shy of $6,000. And then even from there, if you zoom out on the long-term Fibonacci, which we've been following, this is what my long-term Ethereum macro is looking like. I mean, this goes back to 2021 bull run, lows and highs, and then you have bear run 2022, 2023, going into 2024 and 2025. This whole time we paid respect to the golden pocket and the epic golden pocket, like I was just talking about. So this whole zone right here, notice that there was a really nice support hold in the bear run, which is amazing to see long term. And if you're actually following this retracement through what we've been doing in 2024 and 2025, it actually still is making sense. And if this does want to play out the full Fibonacci into this super cycle, we could see Ethereum hit 10,000. And that's the number I think a lot of people have been waiting for in general. I mean, that's the number that I've been waiting for. That was the number that a lot of people thought it could potentially hit in 2021. And mind you, we barely got to 48. We almost tapped 5. But notice how I always talk about those unicorn numbers also. That 5,000 was, notice how close it got. It was like 48.54, but didn't actually test to 5,000 because I'm sure if it hit 5 flat, you would have had a lot of people that take profits. But because it didn't actually hit that number, a lot of people were just waiting around and they saw it and they're like, well, maybe I'll just wait. It's only 200 more dollars. And it never happened. And then it went into a true bear run. And then next thing you know, price is at $930. And you're like, damn, I should have taken profit at 4,800. Um, so that's just a pretty common thing that does happen in in these transition periods. But yeah, I'm watching Ethereum, just being patient. There's definitely good volume. It's oversold on the long terms, and it has the potential. I mean, from current price, if it hits 10,000, that's still going to be a 3x move. And for Ethereum, for something that has a high market cap, that's a little bit on the safer side on the trading spectrum. Yeah. Like, I mean, I know that's a pretty safe play for a lot of people. The thing with Ethereum too is that all the dApps that are on Ethereum rely on money flowing into it first. So if you want the Sheebs and Aave compound, anything that's really directly tied, even layer two scaling solutions, Optimism, Base, Polygon, all of those, Arbitrum, the list goes on, Immutable X, yada yada. They all kind of rely directly on Ethereum and money flowing into Ethereum. If you don't get that, then you're kind of just staggering around, and it's kind of what we're seeing where other projects like Doge are taking off, but Sheep hasn't done so. I would put with pretty high confidence down that when Ethereum is inflowing money, that's when you'll probably see Sheep really start to take off because that's going to be the major player from that ecosystem. So that's just keep that in mind as you're watching some of these other projects that people have been saying are underperforming. Just go look and see if they're actually tied into Ethereum as a whole. And if they are tied into Ethereum and the money flowing into Ethereum, then that could be a good explanation as to why they might not have seen the growth that people are quote unquote expecting from them.
Hey, Hugh.
What's going on, Zeus?
Hey, nothing much. Just had a quick question. How do you feel? What do you think about this cycle? I mean, all the previous cycles, the right after the bull run. I mean, Ethereum will tank, Bitcoin would tank, but now that ETFs are here and there's institutional money invested, do you think that this cycle is going to follow the same pattern as the previous cycles?
That's a good question. As much as cycles do quote unquote follow themselves, they're also very different in their own unique ways. But if you're asking in the sense of do I think we're gonna get have a bear run? Yeah, I think there's gonna be a bear run at the end for sure. It's gonna lose its
Okay.
hype. Especially what you have to remember if you go into a recession, crypto will go up. As the US dollar flips out of recession and the dollar strengthens, people move their money back out of high risk assets and into more institutionalized money. Now it might not be some of the projects might not pull down as dramatically. But you're gonna see, I mean, for a lot of the altcoins and meme coins and stuff like that, like for them to really hold value for years doesn't really make sense. Um, but if you're looking at it from, I don't think that Bitcoin would get under, let's say if we peak out on Bitcoin at 180,000 in the 2025 bull run, for example, I don't see it
Mhm.
really getting back under, you might get lucky if you get to retest under 100,000 again, if that happens into a bear run. Now, in the bear run, it might drop into like the 90s or 80s, like very luckily, but I still think that even a Bitcoin could pull back 50 to 60%, because the thing about the markets and what it doesn't really have to do with what's going on from an internal perspective. So what I mean by that is if you actually go look back at the dot-com bubble in the 90s, which we're pretty much in a very similar type of space right now than in what we're experiencing then versus now. If you go look at Amazon, for example, in the dot-com bubble, when it first initially bursted, which people obviously when the market hyperinflates are going to hear that term thrown around a lot. Um, if you're on X, you've probably heard the term thrown around, capitulate, because people love to just sound like they use big words and like instead of explaining anything, they're just like the market is gonna capitulate, and then like that's all they say. Um, but like things like that, all it means is that at some point it will and can pop, that it's overvalued. And
Right.
so you're looking at it from an Amazon perspective. I'm tying this all around. Bezos, their stock went down 95% in the once the bubble popped. And there's an interview where he talks about it and says, oh, it ironically enough in those years that we were down 95% in our stock, those are ironically enough the best years for us in our books. We made the most money those years out of any year, but price and stock market doesn't actually correlate to business success. You get what I'm saying? So the two things don't
Yeah.
correlate. The price of what you're seeing in the stock market and what you see in crypto is going to be based a lot on sentiment as well as just like the market cycle. So right now you're getting the supply shock and then the inflation of all of these people and institutions that are adding money into Bitcoin and crypto, and that's what you're seeing price action kind of make these big impulse moves because of that. But at some point, they're going to move their money into another market. That's almost like, yeah, sure. If you're in the stock market, you know that on average you're going to return basically, I think it's like 6 to 8% on average every single year in and year out for the last, 60 or 70 years. But there are some years in that time where you're going to maybe go down minus 10, minus 20, minus 30 on your portfolio. You just got to stay in
Right.
long enough to reap the benefits on the other end. But at that point, it's almost like thinking that that crypto is almost better in a sense than the stock market or gold or anything. All of those assets go through bear runs. Real estate goes through bear runs. Cars go through bear runs. Watches, sports car, like everything goes through a bear run. So just understand
Everything
that
has
side of it.
its cycle.
Yeah, so just know that like there's a lot of hype and people will try to throw that into the narrative a lot and be like, the institution stuff are going to keep it so money's in here forever. But at the end of the day, like if you go back, yeah, it wasn't as much institutional money in 2021, but countries were still buying Bitcoin back then. So it's not like this isn't anything new. Maybe there's more money now, but I mean, at the end of the day, like there were already people doing this. This has been going on for years at this point. And we still went through a huge
Gotcha.
bear run at that point, and Bitcoin still dropped about 80% value, regardless of El Salvador and all these other countries purchasing it.
Right.
So
Okay. Cool.
yeah, just something to keep in mind, and just the reality of the narrative, right? Like I understand because I've been doing this, I've been trading for 14 years at this point, so I already know that everything is cyclical. So in my mind, I know how. So for example, the way that I'm going to continue to operate the Epic trading floor moving forward is right now my focus is 95% crypto because I know that this is where the hottest market is, and I know as a trader, there's no logical reason for me to kind of be in other markets when this one has the potential to do the 10 to let's say 1000x if you're really lucky in certain situations where you're not going to get that trading gold, right? So you
Right.
kind of have I understand that perspective and I know that there's going to be a bear market when I do get into the bear market or when we get into the bear market. I'm still going to be trading crypto, but I'm going to be doing it more from an accumulation perspective on like, okay, cool, now everything's down, but I know that I want to buy all these crypto assets. Let's say the bigger ones are the ones that I accumulate earlier in the bear run. So the Bitcoins, the Ethereum, Solana, Chainlink,
Chainlink.
AVAX, things like that are the ones that I would invest early in a bear run because they're a little bit safer. I wouldn't be buying a lot of Doge or Sheep in the beginning of a bear run. Now, towards the latter half of the bear run, maybe I might start adding a little bit more into those higher risk because they can pull down very fast. But as like the bigger players, yeah, like the best way for me personally, the best way that I accumulated, even I can tell you because I've officially gone through a full bull run and a full bear run in the space going into the second bull run. And the best opportunities that I got accumulating were I got some Bitcoin in 2022, 2023, and I was accumulating those for a couple years. So a lot of those plays I'm up exponentially on. So when other people are looking at this and they're freaking out and saying the market's crashing, this and that, I'm looking at it like, well, I'm still up like, 3 to 4x on my quote unquote slow player. So I'm chilling. So that's kind
Right.
of how I look at it. And then just tying that together with everything, once we get to that zone, I might start to take my focus from 95% crypto trading and maybe turn it down to about like 50 to 40 or maybe 30% into the bear run where I'm still accumulating. But my focus at that time might be prop firm trading, or we might focus on something else that's a little more correlated to the volatility or where the next market cycle is going to go, right? If the stock market comes back or if futures gets really popping, we'll jump into that because the Epic strategy works in every platform that you can trade on. So it doesn't matter if it's Forex stocks, whatever, like the strategy works across the board with just like a minor change here and there. But yeah, like that's kind of my focus. So yeah, when we go to the bear run, I'll probably switch and do more futures trading and do more of that focus while crypto's in a quote unquote bear run. And do more prop firm trading and do more of that kind of stuff, funded trading and help people go through that process. But as of right now, the generational quote unquote money and the big boy money is in this market. And you don't really, even if a prop firm can make you a lot of money, it's better to be able to have your own spot bags at the end of the day. Like prop firm is
Of
basically a
course.
fancy way of saying leverage and futures, and you can only swing about 1 to 3. If you do a daily drawdown of 3%, sometimes they'll close your account, so it's kind of ridiculous. So that's why crypto is just the name of the game right now.
Gotcha. That makes sense. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a really good question. Let me see. What about the Solana ecosystem? Will it outperform ETH? I like that question, Habibi, and I would say that if you're looking at it from an actual market cap perspective, yes, Solana does have the potential to outperform Ethereum in the overall bull run just because of the market cap. So all it really means is that the higher you are on the list, if you're kind of like unfamiliar with like how you would be able to trade and do things with market cap, the higher you are on this list, the lower the probability that you're going to take, let's say, exponentially parabolic moves. So the likelihood of Bitcoin doing a 10x move from current price, aka hitting $1 million, is going to be relatively lower or significantly lower than, for example, a project like Stacks, for example, going and this hitting a 10x because this is only at a $2 billion market cap. So if this wanted to 10x, or even if you're looking at going all the way down the list, like if you want to go to Ski Mask Cat, for example, just to throw it out there because that's one of our trades, something like this has, a significantly higher probability of doing a 10x versus Bitcoin because the market cap is only 6 million on this. So it only needs to get to 60 million market cap to hit 10x in like relative terms. If the circulating supply and everything stayed the same and it was relative growth, then yeah, all you need is about a 10x move to hit a $60 million market cap, and that's nothing, especially if you're talking about, trillions of dollars flying into a market, right? So, if you're looking at it from an actual market cap perspective, yes, Solana has more growth potential than Ethereum. But from current ranges, right, where you want to look at, let's say if we're checking out Ethereum at the moment and where we think it can go from an all-time high perspective, if this does want to hit 10,000, for example, which is going to be take profit 3, go to price range. We'll go from current price up to here. Looking about a 215% move on that. And then if you go to Solana, for example, and you go look at Solana, yeah, I mean, you're getting to that point. You're already breaking that range high of 2021. We've technically created an all-time high already. So now we're just finding a base. But even from this Fibonacci to the top is about 100. Once you break out of this all-time high, you're going to go into price discovery mode, which means that the sky is the limit. There's no ceiling, so we don't really know how far it can go. But the last time we did break the ceiling, for example, back in 2021, price went up about 300%. So the probability of this going up is going to be damn well high. If you're looking at this from in like an Elliott waves perspective too, this would be your phase one wave right here. And normally the phase three is bigger, and we haven't really seen that exponential phase three wave. So that's something that we could easily see this. Like I would love to see Solana get up to 600, 700, $800. I think it's possible. Will it happen? We'll see. Especially if you go to price discovery mode, it really just depends. Now, Solana itself doesn't have that same benefit as Ethereum, where you had a stable 7860 retracement in the bear run. So it's not like you could use, that's the difference between the two charts. This one, you don't have that. So there's no way to really predict from a Fibonacci perspective how far this could go. I mean, you could see clear as day where the volume was accumulated, which is down here, and that was all from 2022 to 2023. There's more money that went in here in this zone than anywhere else on the chart. So all the big boy money and the big players got in down here, and we're accumulating as much as possible. Same with Bitcoin. That's if you see me using the VRVP, that's the visible range volume profile. It's going to look like this VRVP. That's what these bars are on the side. And it'll tell you where the most amount of money is flowing in at any given time. So you can go on Bitcoin, go zoom out on this, and you'll see that this goes all the way back to 2018. I can even take this back to 2017. So right now, I'm taking in all the information from 2017 to 2025 on Bitcoin. And as you can see on this graph and the volume, this little zone right here in 2022 from at about like 18,000 to around like 22 to 23,000 bucks, about 25 give or take, has exponentially higher volume than anywhere else on this volume chart. And this is showing you horizontal volume, not vertical volume. I like to read horizontal volume personally. So, when you're looking at this, what this tells me is that all the big money, and let's say the hundreds of millions or billions or however much money that flowed into the market before, all got in here. So everything that's going on up here, and then notice as we get higher and higher up this list, even if I zoom in a little bit more, notice that in comparison, volume like doesn't even exist up here right now in comparison to the volume that we see down in this area. And the reason why that's happening, well, I thought that that would make it a little bit easier to see. But the reason why that's happening and what you could see by this is retail money versus institutional money. So all the big boys, institutions, and everyone were accumulating down here. This is where the majority of volume took place. And then from that point, you're barely seeing little tiny bits of money flowing in these little zones, but very minuscule to what we saw down here. So the reason why I'm getting to all of that too is, for example, this could theoretically, if it wanted to, use that as a full retracement. Now you see some key levels where we could retrace down to if price really wanted to, getting back into the 60s and 50s. Like it's definitely something that could happen. Will it happen? But it could happen. Um, but yeah, as far as Solana versus ETH, I think that Solana maybe has an extra X in it. So like, I think Ethereum could probably pull a 3X. I think Solana could probably do a 4X on a good day. If the ecosystem holds up well, if it doesn't crash, if, I mean, they have a really strong meme coin ecosystem. They have a strong altcoin ecosystem. They're made in the USA, so that's going to be part of the 0% capital gains tax. So I don't see why not. But that is a good question too. I like that one. And then beyond that, let's see what we're looking like on highlights right now. See if we got any trending coins, trending ecosystems. Mantra, Ondo most viewed. That's good. A lot of institutional money behind Ondo. Most voted coins are boring right now, but it's good to see Dogecoin back up here. Let's have a look at Doge. I feel like always has that parabolic potential whenever Elon wants to put one tweet about it or one thing. Yeah, I mean, it's still relatively overbought. If you're looking at this from a Fibonacci perspective, this would have been your phase or wave one, wave two, wave three, wave four going on right now. So if this wanted to top out one more time, it could go into a wave five, and then start to pull down from here if it really wanted to. From that point, I'd be looking for like a regular bearish divergence or something at about 50 cents if it wanted to swing topside.
Is that true that Doge does not have does not have a coin cap? Like there's a it's inflationary. I mean that there's no token limit
Oh yeah, a
or
lot of
something like
projects
that.
have that. But yeah, Doge right now has an infinite supply. A lot of utility
Infinite
tokens are
supply.
infinite.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, so
Mm.
that's gonna be pretty common. That if you when you see my YouTube videos, if you ever hear me talk about finite, anything that has a total and max supply, you'll hear me call it finite and deflationary. And then anything
Right.
that has an infinite supply, it'll just be infinite and inflationary.
Okay.
But yeah, the point of that is sometimes they'll be able to mint and burn and inflate price, or be able to, let's say, manipulate price in order to keep it lower. If you look at most of the utility tokens, like if you go look at layer two scaling solutions, for example, most of them are going to be worth under usually it's under like $1, but most of them are under $2.50 for that reason. So if you go look down this list, you'll notice that the majority of these projects aren't really worth that much numerically. Some of them do kind of have more than others, but on average, they're worth pretty much under $2 or $2.50. They do that just because if the token cost is too high, then you that ends up adding to high gas fees and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah, so that'll be like the main difference. You have and then there's the utility versus storage of value. So like Bitcoin would be your storage of value with your 21 million supply. Polygon Matic, for example, would be your utility token that's really just, infinitely and focused on just being able to scale Ethereum as much as possible. So they need to be able to have the tokens to mint and burn and really keep it so everything stays cheap, everything stays fast, and they're able to inflate and deflate as necessary, based on whatever market conditions there are. Okay, explanation is infinite bad. Thank you, Elski. And no, infinite's not bad. It's not a bad thing. It's just you just don't expect projects like this to hit. Can they hit, high dollar amounts? Yes, but just don't expect them to do that. A lot of people just get stuck on them because they're cheap. So like a lot of new traders will look at projects and try to look at it from a what costs less perspective versus what has a better evaluation and like growth potential from a market cap perspective. So that would be my only thing on them is just watch out for that. But no, there's not really anything that would be bad per se. It really just depends on what they're doing and what the actual project does. So because it's a scaling solution, it makes sense. You don't want a scaling solution with a finite supply because then at some point you're gonna run out. So you got to think of it from a long-term perspective of like if this project wants to run for let's say 100 years, it's going to have to somewhat be able to operate as a utility. You're comparing utility to like the US dollar, right? US dollar would be something that you would compare to a utility because you can inflate it and deflate it so that it'll maintain or do whatever it needs to do with the value, but it's still going to look like a dollar. A dollar is a dollar is a dollar, even though it's not from like a long-term perspective. It's still going to be worth less, but the same printed dollar is a dollar. So that's where that utility side comes in versus a storage of value. You're going to be talking about gold or Bitcoin or things like that. You don't want them to have an infinite supply because you want the price of a storage of value asset to go up because it's limited, it's finite. So it's like a fossil fuel. So because there's a limited supply, it's going to be naturally more expensive. So the more oil they burn, the more expensive oil becomes because once they burn all the oil, that's it. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the whole point of those finite resources being able to be upped in price. So something like Bitcoin can be worth millions because it's a storage of value versus, would Polygon be worth millions? Probably not. But could one day it hit 41 bucks? Sure. Theoretically it could. But at the same time, they could just, add more tokens to the supply and keep the price down and do these things. So that's another side of it. But yeah, from like an investment perspective, you're going to get better returns on projects in general that have it of finite supply or like a limited supply in general.
Gotcha. Yeah.
It amazes me how XRP market cap is bigger than Solana. So XRP is one of those that is definitely sketchy, Habibi, and I can show you that from a numerical perspective. So when charts grow exponentially in bull runs, you want it to look like this. This is like a very healthy chart, right? And this actually makes sense to the market cap. This means that they haven't been burning or doing anything to basically manipulate price action, right? So this is what you'd want to see. So the market cap makes sense. When you go look at XRP's chart and you think about relative growth in terms of market cap, how the fuck can a project be, sorry for my French, but how can the fuck can a project be going down year by year from 17 to 2021 and in 2024 going into this year, it's still somehow maintained the same market cap relativeness of Bitcoin, even though it has not grown exponentially year by year. It still hasn't broken 2017. So technically, by this standard, this is saying that XRP would have, that so what this is telling me is that they were burning supply in order to increase their value to keep themselves relevant through the whole lawsuit. And because they were burning their supply, it's going to change the math between because the market cap is just going to be your current price and the circulating supply. So by them being able to take down that supply and cut it down in relevance, it turns up their dollar amount, which turns up their market cap. So they were basically burning through the whole process. I'm sure there's ways you could find this. There's no other way that they could have done this because it doesn't make sense numerically how all these other projects that would have this high of a market cap, they all look like normal projects. But XRPs, you could tell that it was a manipulated price action the whole way through. Like Solana, this market cap matches. This is basically the market cap that it had in 2021 at this exact same price. So even like Solana, it's not like it was doing anything crazy in comparison to its value, and this is where it should be. It's matched. XRP's is not. XRP definitely did not have a $179 billion market cap in 2017. I know that's not true. So, or in 2018, I know it did not get that high because there was definitely not that much money in the crypto market. Probably not even that much money in the crypto market at that time. So, for them to even stay relevant and stay on this top 10 list the whole time means that they were just burning tokens on the back end and just trying to basically, inflate their price, so that they could stay relevant on the top 10 list because they should have been wiped off that list, if we're just being honest. Makes sense. Otherwise, it'd be Hunger Games in real life. Got you. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, definitely would be like Hunger Games. Definitely. Um, yeah, so that's one of my knocks on XRP. That's there's just a lot of iffy things about the project itself. I'm all about people making money at the end of the day, so it's like when people say that they're not in the space to make money, I laugh because that's kind of what everyone's in it for. If you weren't in it to make money, then you would just like the utilities and the resources and you would use them without investing in them. But if you're buying tokens and coins and things, like you want to make money. But so I'm not against anyone making money. The thing that I get worried about with XRP is the amount of people that are going to get cooked in the long run. Just yeah, exactly. I made money, so that's all I'm asking. Exactly. And it's funny because I was saying that before even reading your message. Um, I was and that's great. That's all I want, right? I just don't want people to get cooked because they think that this could go to $589 and stuff like that when in reality this is just like the most hyperinflated market cap I've seen on any project. But can you make money off of it? Absolutely. I think anyone can, but yeah, just don't be the one holding the hot potato at the end.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype behind XRP. Just a lot of hype from a lot of people who are just throwing out facts that have no foundations. Just just hearsay. A lot of hearsay in the XRP area. I mean,
Yeah.
most my biggest holdings are XRP, but when that thing hits I'm a DCA out, and my cut point would be 15. At 15, I'll be satisfied. But anything beyond 15, I'll keep a moon bag, kind of like you do. Just a few thousand tokens, and then I'm gonna hold on to a few thousand, but I'm gonna DCA out most of my portfolio when it hits 15, $20. But I'm not gonna sit around for $589. I don't think that's feasible.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And even I get that point with that moon bag too, because at the end of the day, it's kind of like how I look at Bitcoin. I'm going to sell majority of it, but yeah, do I want to hold on to a couple of them? Absolutely, because I want to still say that I have even a full Bitcoin, for example, like for that person that's trying to stack them and accumulate them now, a lot of people in the crypto space, that's a goal is to be a Bitcoiner, so it takes a little bit of
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But
I'm scared of Bitcoin, honestly, man. I honestly think that Michael Saylor is creating a Bitcoin bubble, and it's gonna pop the moment that the bear market comes around.
oh
Mark my
yeah.
words.
I mean, all the whole market is going to go down at that point. Like it's, I could speak on the behalf of everyone that probably has been through any bull run into a bear run. Like everything is going to drop. Um, it's not a matter of if, but when. That's kind of why all these people hyperinflate things now, and why Michael Saylor and all these people are so avid on pushing money. But if you actually look at the amount that he's putting in, it's getting smaller and smaller, even though, so it's not making nearly as many dents as it was before in terms of price action. So yeah, on paper, it looks like $13 million is a lot, but from how much MicroStrategy has been investing in it, it's a very small amount. So it just seems like they're just using it from a DCA perspective in general, like he has been. But I mean, if you go look at Michael Saylor historically, he's just using it to leverage against himself to get more money for loaning. And so he did the same thing with like I don't know exactly what it was, but you can go look it up. But Michael Saylor in the 90s and 2000s caught up in some stuff with it's kind of the same thing using MicroStrategy and using loans and using some sort of backed loans to reverse get something crazy. So it's not like this is anything new for him. So yeah, he's definitely using this as collateral, just like he could basically just get loans back and forth against himself and just stack his money like how rich people do. You have to fear BlackRock,
Yeah.
not Michael Saylor. Yeah, I mean, the thing that you want to fear with BlackRock is that you just want to fear their narrative more than anything. So unless you have the only way that you can even talk to someone from BlackRock is you need to have a million I think in crypto it's actually a $3 million minimum portfolio. It might even be five, but crypto is one of their bigger ones for a minimum requirement. So to even speak to someone from BlackRock and have them manage your assets, you have to have a minimum of 3 to 5 million in crypto assets specifically. So as you can imagine, if you're watching the news and you're getting there and you're watching Larry Fink talk on the news, just listen with a grain of salt because you're not one of the people that are paying him millions of dollars, right? So whatever you're hearing him say on the news is what he wants the free people to be fed, not the people that are the insiders. If it's an insider, I mean, you could look at it even from the perspective of what we do here. Like a lot of the stuff I will talk about, maybe what 10 to 20% of what I talk about on the members only live streams for that reason, because you got to respect the people that are internal in that situation. So I get it from a business perspective, but I just don't think people see that when they watch the news. They just think all hail Larry Finker, everyone wants to ride the coattail, and that's one of the big problems with the crypto space is the maxis. Now it's great because it moves the market, but maxis are also very dangerous because maxis, especially, so if you're like a long-term maxi, there's usually like a few things behind it. I mean, I won't go too far into it or put out names, but yeah, if you're like a long-term maxis person, then yeah, I mean, you're just an interesting person in general, especially if you're able to be a maxi for XRP through all these years. Like, kudos to you. But that emotional tie to a product or a project or an asset or a business just doesn't make sense to me. And those people are very emotional traders. And unfortunately, they're very convincing for new traders. And so, what happens in kind of playing off what you're saying, Zeus, as well, is all the people that you see in the comment section that are saying this and that about XRP and this and blah, blah, blah. All it is they're just going around on the internet, finding crazy articles and other resources, sometimes real, sometimes fake. All they're doing is reading headlines. They don't actually read into things. And then they just go and leave a headline comment all over the place. So it's just like hundreds of thousands of headline comments. But if you actually ask someone one question in, they don't have another answer. It's like stepping in a puddle. It looks like you're going to be jumping into like a lake, but you're actually just stepping into a puddle of someone's knowledge base because it's usually just like it's going to 589. Oh, well, why do you think that? Oh, I don't know. Well, John B said it on Twitter, so it has to be real. Or I saw this comment from this guy that doesn't have a profile photo and his name was user 15876838859 and he said that it was going to go here, so it has to be true. And it's like, okay, well, let me know when you actually go do some research and look at some of that information. So that's one downside. I mean, I'll give you another example. I just released that XCN video today on YouTube. And sure, I didn't give it the best rep because I'm not excited about it. I don't think there's anything exciting, and I don't think the tech is that good. I think from an APR and APY perspective, great, you can make a lot of money, but I didn't see anything on that website that would have shown me that they were doing anything special, that they had cool patents, cool technology, nothing like that. And I've looked at 10,000 projects easily at this point and looked at their websites and their tokenomics and this and that. Well, mind you, in the video, I say that it can easily, on the low end, it can do a 6x, right? So this we have an XCN Maxi jumps into the video and starts attacking me and is like, "Good luck on your short and this and that." And I laughed. I'm like, "Congrats!" Like you're just so busy, ready to attack me for those. I must have said something, or maybe it was because I said that I said that the technology wasn't that good and that there was a potential for a retracement. And so even the fact that I said that it could do a minimum of a 6x got this guy so upset because I said that there was potential for a retracement and that I just didn't like the tech that even a maxi will go after people in their own, and I'm sure you see it in XRP. Like you can be someone, I get it too. I say $4 to $6 and I'll have maxis come after me because it's quote unquote not enough. And they're like, "You're an idiot, it's gonna go to 10,000." I'm like, thanks, man. Thanks for calling someone else that's invested in the same project as you an idiot. Congratulations. Like, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yo, not sure what I missed. Took me forever to get this bookshelf together. Are you able to do a recap on the market? Yeah, and then so all of this is on recording, Brian. So anything that you missed as well, all the recaps and stuff, you'll be able to watch it on the recording as well. But in general, we're just watching Bitcoin kind of going sideways at the moment. Um, I'm waiting to see this retrace maybe to like the $4,000 to $3,000 range. Um, we'll see if it really wants to. but that's kind of what I'm watching for since we're in a bearish crossover. What I was saying before was that there's obviously the possibility that this wants to swing back up first, and that we could see this theoretically come up and test, let's say 105, 106 again before it comes back down. That's a possibility. It could do that. It could just go back down and go up. It could even just say EQ's an idiot and go like this and just break up from here. You know what I mean? I don't know, one knows, but we're just gonna have to wait to see. I don't get into trades in general until we get into a range higher, range low. So when I actually see us get back down to 99.4 and either confirm for another time that we're holding support, or we range up to like 109, 110 and start to show resistance up here, those will be the times that I look to get into my longs and shorts. I like to play the band. So like a very overbought or very oversold. When you're playing in this range, you're playing a 50-50 game. So from this perspective, the only time that I would play something like this would be if we did hold the 6180 to 7860 and held and then played to the top side from here, because that's going to play this current Fibonacci. So if we got that, I would consider it, and that would just be like not the best entry, but that would be like a later sniper entry to play to the top. But the best sniper entries would be when price action is either hitting over on this side, or for example hitting over on this side when you're in within these ranges. Those are going to be your best spots, to be able to find really good sniper entries and exits in general, aka why I got into that ski mask cat trade down here and not up here, right? Because I saw that we were hitting those liquidity zones and things like that, and I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if we're gonna bounce and I'm looking for high volatility and this and that, I'm gonna enter all my altcoins and trades down in these zones versus over here. And then vice versa. When we really get up to the top, maybe I'll shave some profits, maybe I'll moonbag, maybe I'll add shorts. Whatever the market really wants to give me at that time is what I'll go for. Can I look at ICP, please? Is it cooked? I mean, ICP in general is still down like 95% from all-time high. If you go look, so CoinGecko is a really good way to actually keep everything in relativeness and zoom out. Because even on TradingView, if I go to zoom this out, you're not going to really get the whole story. You're still going to get kind of this, what looks like a really decent play, but it's not going to give you the true look as if you were looking on here. And I went to ICP and did max. Now, if I'm looking from here, you can see that this thing is definitely down a lot, right? At one point, we were worth over $400. Right now, we're worth $9.27. So if this did want to even test its all-time highs again, great. It's a really good opportunity in general. But can it and will it? I don't know. I'm not, me personally, I'm just going to give you the technical analysis perspective. And then because from an actual like we'll say a creator's perspective, because I know people that have worked with Definity as like influencers and creators and stuff like that. Pretty much everyone that's worked with them does not work with them anymore. And that's just an honest thing that I've heard. They all hated working with them. And that's just me being brutally honest. Obviously, I'm not paid by any of these people, so I can say whatever I want about them. But yeah, from what I've heard, that working with the Definity team was horrible. So a lot of the influencers that you've seen over the years, if you've been around, don't really talk about ICP anymore. But I mean, if you're looking at it from a trading perspective, you're in a bullish crossover on the daily, just hanging on for dear life, bullish pivot signal. You're in the epic crossover, so holding on 7860. Like if this wanted to swing up to $24, it could pretty easily. And then your range high from 2024 is going to be $20. So you're about a 2x move from your range high from 2024. And then see, even bear market price for this got to about, yeah, I mean, we sold off pretty quick from 86. So once you break about 25 to, let's say 25 to 37 range, you could see a decent move on ICP, but something like this, like that's just not on mine portfolio. Mind you, there's 100,000 plus crypto projects, and I only have about 45 of them on my long term, and that's a lot for most people. So you got to be a little bit focused. Now, you always want to have you can be underrepresented and overrepresented. So you want to have a little bit of diversity. You don't want to only have XRP, for example, but you also don't want to over diversify. It all depends on portfolio size. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like it all really depends on portfolio size. When I started in 2020, I only had 10. So to put that in perspective, my first bull run, I started with 10. By the end of that bull run, I had about 35. So I'm just going into it with a different mindset this time because I started smaller the first time. So, but yeah, as a first time, yeah, you might only have, 5 to 10 projects that you're watching long term out of the 10,000 that exist. So, yeah, you got to be a little picky with them here and there. So that's kind of like why ICP, sure, it has a lot of upside, but for me, there's other projects that I personally just would rather get into, which are the 45 that I'm in, that I would take over ICP, for example. I could do a couple more questions. I have a hard finish at 9 because I have a one-on-one with someone. So just if you got any more questions, let me know. And yeah. And then obviously I will get
I
this
do.
recording posted as fast as possible.
I do EQ. It's kind of off topic, but there's another project that's been on pre-sale for well, I've been in on it since May of last year, and it's called BlockDAG. Have you heard of this project?
Yeah,
Block
I think
DAG?
I've been mining it. I have the free miner on my phone. I haven't purchased any,
Yeah, yeah,
but
me
I've been
too.
using the miner.
That's what's up. Okay. Yeah,
But
well, I was just curious if you had any insight on, I mean, I've been researching them a lot and watching all their keeping up on them because I invested pretty heavily in them in the pre-sale.
yeah.
And but do you have any insight, anything, any insights
I mean,
about that
I can
project?
tell you that they definitely have a lot of money in their marketing. Do I know if it's going to be so? There's a couple projects. Am I just do you want my honest opinion or do you want the half fluff answer first?
Uh, yeah, whatever you got.
Cool. So I just gotta ask because you know how it
No,
is.
no, go for it, man.
Um,
Yeah, I
so
rather
for
get it. I mean, we're investing money here, so we need to get the nitty gritty.
Yeah, exactly. I just like to ask because some people will be like, give me the half fluff first. I'm like, okay, cool. But either way, like for me personally, I like it. I think it's a cool concept. I liked it enough that I have the miner on my phone. Now, was it enough or appealing for me to want to invest my own money into it? Not quite, because I've seen other projects that have done this in the past that were unsuccessful. Like oh my God, it starts with a P. I mean, I'm sure some of you have even seen it. It's another one like a phone miner. They've been around since like 2021, and they always said they were going to release a coin, and they never did, and it's still unavailable. So stuff like that, like it's more of a coin flip. So it's like I liked BlockDAG, but I didn't know if like it was actually going to have liquidity one day where you could sell out of it. So like, do I have mine? I have mined it. Yeah, I have a lot mined, and then my reward system is pretty big because I have a few videos on YouTube that have like hundreds of thousands of views. So I got a lot of people in
Yeah,
my referral system. So yeah, I have a decent amount on there, but yeah, it wasn't anything for me. It was cool enough that I've made quite a few. I think like I would say one long format YouTube video, and I would say 2 to 3 short format videos. I haven't done them in months, mind you. This was like back in July, probably around like that pre-sale time. And I wasn't paid by them or anything like that. I just liked the project. Um, which, mind you, for the people that
yeah,
don't know, like I don't take any money from crypto projects. Like I work with the exchanges and stuff like that, but I'd never take money from crypto projects themselves because it doesn't align with what I do. Since I teach people how to trade, it feels very unethical for me to then sell people on a project from my financial gains on it instead of from like a technical perspective and like a true like trading value perspective.
I feel that the pre-sale has been dragging out for quite a while now. I mean, it's still on pre-sale. It's still on pre-sale, and it's got like 13 more batches to go before it gets launched.
Yeah,
So I'm just
exactly.
feeling like that's why I'm asking for the straight up because I'm like, man, like this has been dragging out. It's been since May that I got in, and it's been on since like January of last year. So
Yeah,
it's almost over a year now in
yeah,
pre-sale,
yeah,
and they
exactly.
raked up a bunch of money. They got almost $200 million in accumulated already. But I'm like going, man, but this is going like turtles pace. I mean, the bull
Yeah,
run will
how do
be
you
over by the time something happens here.
exactly? How do you have $200 million, but you can't have a working product with liquidity yet? I totally get it. I get it.
Right, right. So I'm just like, yeah,
Yeah, no, I mean,
kind of,
I could laugh at that because it's like I've used even a small percentage, like even a fraction of that to get the Epic trading floor running and up. So it's like if I could do that, then how the fuck can you guys not do it?
yeah.
But no, I get it
Well,
from
we'll
that
see.
perspective, and yeah, it's a waiting game, and Yeah, that style of project, unfortunately, is like a coin flip, but it's part of that risk. And if it does pay off, then that's awesome. But yeah, like I
Great.
have
Yeah.
no idea on my end, like if it is actually going to have liquidity one day, because that's really what we're waiting for, right? Is can you attach it to a wallet and sell it in an exchange?
Right. Yeah.
Because if you can, then
Well, I
cool, then it has
appreciate it.
liquidity. If you can't add it to an exchange, then there's no liquidity. Then you're kind of just looking at it basically like an basically someone sent you just like an NFT or
Yeah.
something.
Pretty much. Well, I appreciate your insight.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I got time for probably one more question if someone's got one. And if not, awesome. We'll end it at
Yeah.
that. And I will get this live stream up and posted for everyone probably in the next, I would say in the next 2 hours. Um, Habibi, you can never ask enough. You can always ask as many questions as you want. That's what this time is here for. The small room, so I can give you actually like in detailed answers. The benefit is everyone that's in here has already signed up and put that little check when they signed up that says that you all recognize that none of it's financial advice. So it allows me to give a little bit more sauce. That's like the big difference between what I can do here and on a live stream. In the live stream, I don't have that option. It's just people flowing in. So anyone can say whatever they want, and it's a lot of new people. So to go, into super detail with people that don't necessarily understand even what a Fibonacci is, then it doesn't necessarily make that much sense. But yeah, in these rooms, like ask away and any questions you have, like even if you have a list of things, if you're going through the academy and you're like, I want to, like you can be like, just elaborate on this a little bit more. Like I don't mind doing any of that stuff. So even for future reference or for anyone that's in here for the next members only live stream, for example, like any questions you may have, I don't mind going over them, answering them. If I don't know, I will just tell you that I don't know. And, and then we can move on from there. If I do know, I'll give you the best answer that I can. And if it's something from the academy or anything you want to walk through, like I don't mind going over that and just giving a quick little like live demonstration, for example, so that it makes it a little bit easier to understand. Because I know how complicated all this is. It's not like I just magically woke up one morning and was like a master trader when that knew all the lingo and all that stuff. Like I started from the bottom too. So, and I am one of those people that definitely understands that there's new people that come into the space every day. I know some people get angry and they're like, "How do you not know this answer?" And it's like, dude, you're one of the first like 5% of people in the world that are learning about crypto and that know about it. So just relax and understand that, every day there's going to be people that don't know a thing. So even if you think that your question is quote unquote dumb or stupid or whatever it is, one, there is no dumb or stupid question. Two, you can ask anything, and I assure you that there's probably people in the room that are like, "Thank you for asking that question," because I had that same question, and more than likely, there's people that have even more simpler questions than what you think would be considered basic. So always feel free to ask them, and yeah,
Thank you, Q.
yeah, of course. Thank you guys. I appreciate everyone for being
Thank you,
here, and
Eric.
thank you. I appreciate you, Elsky. Appreciate all of you for being here.
All right, yo. Good night.
Take it easy.
Peace out.